All right, today we're going to dive into something that's, well, pretty personal for a lot of us. Why does our body seem to have a mind of its own when it comes to our weight? It's a super fascinating biological puzzle, and the answer, well, believe it or not, it has a lot to do with some really elegant math.
You know that feeling? Like your body has this set point, this weight it just wants to be at, no matter what you do? Well, you're not going crazy. You're not imagining it. There is a powerful, deep-seated system working behind the scenes 24/7, making all these little adjustments. So the big question is, what is this system, and how in the world does it actually work?
So, to get our heads around this, we've got to look past the whole calories in, calories out thing. It's way more complex than that. A better way to think about it is to imagine your body as this incredibly smart, self-regulating machine, a machine that has its very own internal thermostat for your weight.
And this weight thermostat idea, it's a really powerful way to think about it. I mean, if you lose weight, the system literally cranks up your hunger and dials down your metabolism to get you back to where things you should be. Gain weight? It does the exact opposite. It's this constant automatic balancing act, and it's all run by a whole network of tiny chemical messengers.
Okay, so who are these messengers? Who are the key players in this whole operation? Well, let's meet the big three, the hormones that are in constant conversation with your brain about how much energy you've got on board. First up, we have leptin. This guy comes from your fat cells, and its main job is to tell your brain you're full. It's basically the body's fuel gauge. The more fat you have, the more leptin you've got, and the louder the signal to your brain is, saying, hey, we're good on energy down here. You can stop eating now. Now, on the complete opposite side, you've got ghrelin. This one comes from your gut, and it's famous for being the hunger hormone. It's the signal that screams, the tank is empty, time to go find some food. It's a huge driver of our appetite. And last but not least, there's insulin. Now, most of us just think blood sugar when we hear insulin, right? But it's actually a massive player in this whole energy network. Just like leptin, it tells the brain to dial back the desire to eat. And it's this side job of insulin, this lesser-known role, that's really the key to understanding how this whole system is so incredibly stable.
So if we really want to understand how this system pulls off this amazing stability, we've got to follow the trail of insulin. We're going to zoom in, way in, from the big picture of the whole body all the way down to the tiny microscopic world inside one single cell.
See, when an insulin molecule docks onto a cell, it's not just flipping one switch. No way. It kicks off this unbelievable chain reaction, this cascade of signals that tells the cell exactly how to use and store energy. It's not a light switch, it's more like a conductor starting a full-blown symphony. And the complexity of this cellular symphony, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, truly staggering. So for scientists to even begin to understand it, they had to do what any good engineer would do. They had to draw a map, a circuit diagram, basically, of every single thing that happens the moment insulin gives the command. And this was not easy. They had to painstakingly trace every connection, every single molecule, every reaction, just to build a mathematical model of this network. And what they uncovered, well, it's nothing short of remarkable. Okay, just take a look at this. This is the blueprint we're talking about. Each one of those circles is a molecule, and the arrows are the chemical reactions that connect them. This whole intricate web shows 20 different molecules and 35 separate reactions, all firing off inside one cell, from just one insulin signal. Honestly, at first glance, it just looks like total chaos, right? And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? With all these moving parts, how does this thing not just collapse into a mess? How does it stay stable and work perfectly millions of times a day in trillions of cells all over your body? The answer, it turns out, is a really beautiful mathematical principle. Yeah, it turns out this system isn't just complicated for the sake of it. It's robust. And that's a key word here. It's specifically designed to handle disturbances, to deal with all the noise, and just keep on working. Robustness is a huge deal, whether you're talking about engineering or biology. It just means the system can take a punch and not fall over. It can keep doing its main job. And you can totally see why evolution would select for that, right? A robust metabolism is absolutely critical for surviving in a world where your next meal isn't always a sure thing. Okay, so here's the really cool part. This robustness, it's not an accident. It's not a fluke. Researchers figured out that the actual architecture of the network, the way all those 35 reactions are wired up, it contains what they call a design principle. And this principle mathematically guarantees the system will be stable. This principle has a fancy name, absolute concentration robustness, or ACR for short. I know, it sounds super technical, but the idea is actually pretty straightforward and really powerful. It just means that the network is built in such a way that it locks in the amount of certain key molecules. It holds them at a perfectly constant level, no matter what other chaos is going on around them.
And this isn't some small detail either. Out of those 20 key molecules we saw in that crazy map, a full 8 of them are locked in place by this ACR property. Think about that. That's almost half the system being held rock solid, providing this incredibly stable foundation for everything else the cell needs to do. The researchers who figured this out, Schnarr and Feinberg, they put it perfectly. They said this is a structural source of robustness. In other words, the stability doesn't come from some external fix, it's built right into the blueprint. It's part of the design. So to really see how this works, the researchers split the network into 2 parts. Think of it like building a house. You have subnetwork NA. That's your foundation. It's the ultra-stable, rock-solid core where you find all 8 of those locked-in molecules. It doesn't change. Then you have subnetwork NB. That's everything else, the walls, the rooms, the furniture. This part can change, and that's what allows the cell to adapt to what's going on. It's this beautiful design that gives you both a super stable core and a flexible, adaptable exterior.
Okay, so this is all really cool math, but what's the bottom line? Why should you and I care? Well, it matters because the seemingly abstract idea of robustness, it is literally the foundation of our health at the cellular level. Let's take the most important example, a molecule called GLUT4. You can think of GLUT4 as the main gate that lets glucose, which is the cell's primary fuel, inside. And guess what? The analysis shows GLUT4 is one of those 8 special molecules that's locked in by ACR. Without that stability, getting fuel into our cells would be a total mess, super unreliable. But with ACR, glucose uptake is steady and stable, making sure our cells always have the energy they need.
And really, that's the big takeaway here. This elegant piece of math, something that's literally baked into our cellular wiring, is what guarantees that the most fundamental process of life, turning food into energy, happens over and over again reliably. This stability at the microscopic level is what makes that whole weight thermostat we talked about at the beginning even possible. It's the hidden blueprint for a healthy metabolism.
Which kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. If our biology is built with these incredible blueprints for health, for stability, for robustness, then what does it mean when they break? When we see metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes, where this exact system goes haywire, what does that tell us about how these elegant mathematical designs can get messed up? And answering that, well, that's one of the biggest challenges